Hey guys, how you going? This is Billyeatworld again, and today we're going to get into the topic of semi-automatic rifles in Battlefield 5. Because I don't know about you, but have you tried any of the other guns lately? I mean, it kind of seems like using the SLRs in this game is easy mode, right? So the question is, why is that? What is it about this weapon category that just makes them so good for apparently almost every situation? And most importantly, what's changed from the previous games where SLRs were often considered to be subpar weapons? Well, that's what we're going to get into in this video. Alright, so to kick off, just to give you a bit of historical context, let's go back to the SLRs, then called the DMRs, at the launch of Battlefield 4, which is a time that I've got a lot of fond memories of because that's about the same time that I started making YouTube videos. And many of those original videos were on the DMRs, which was great because no one else at the time was making videos on them basically at all. Because basically, in a nutshell, they were absolutely abysmal because from BF3, BF4 had nerfed their damage model a fair bit and also reduced their accuracy. Not just that, but you've also got to understand this was in the context of a modern shooter where literally anything in the 600 to 700 RPM range was considered a slow rate of fire gun. And not just that, but the DMRs actually fired slower on average than they do now, which was a bit of a pain, especially with that lower damage model. And when I say lower damage model, I mean even though they were buffed throughout the life of the game, at launch all of the high damage DMRs were basically a 4-shot kill max, or roughly one more bullet to kill than they currently are in BF5. And what all of this combined meant is that not only were longer range kills harder to get with these guns, but you absolutely got destroyed in CQB by just about everything that fired in an automatic mode as well. Now, fast forward to Battlefield 1, and well, obviously in the context of a World War I theme, SLR's got a serious buff because of slower firing automatic weapons all around. And not just that, but random bullet deviation also meant that just about every automatic weapon couldn't hit a barn at mid to long range, whereas the SLRs were one of the few weapon types that actually still could. In Battlefield 5, though, DICE did one of the best things they've ever done and removed bullet deviation, which was obviously a buff for all of the other guns, so you'd think that'd make the SLRs less effective, right? Well, apparently not really, because this change has in-game made the SLRs laser beam accurate, and so instead of just being great mid-range weapons, now they're insane at long range as well. Also, while I was thinking about this video, I was wondering about how much all of the other stats had changed from back in the Battlefield 1 days. And so what I did was actually went back and had a look at one of my old videos on the Selbst 1916, which is in both games, and I was actually pretty surprised at how similar they are. Both versions of this gun are a 3-shot kill at all ranges, and more or less all of the other base stats are pretty similar as well, including the rate of fire, the mag size, and the reload speed. But, and here's the big catch, the Selbst was always one of the best SLRs, and I'd say in general one of the best guns overall in Battlefield 1, and I wouldn't say that's the case in Battlefield 5 at all, even when, and bear this in mind, you specialize it, which is something that you couldn't do in Battlefield 1. Now, as for what makes a good SLR, or just a good weapon in general, it's the ability to win a majority of its gunfights at a majority of ranges. And so the reason why in BF5 the Selbst 1916 is a great long-range weapon, but not that great all around, is because at 224 RPM it fires too slowly to compete with most automatic weapons in CQB. On the other hand though, and here's the main point, there's quite a lot of SLRs, like for example the Turner, which can fire much faster and with very little recoil, but still land 3 to 4 shot kills. And what I find is that when you use these guns, as long as you're accurate, they'll outshoot just about anything else in the game. And that's without, like I mentioned before, using Specializations, which we never had in Battlefield 1. Not just that, but we've also now got this weird split of the SLR category into the Assault and Recon SLRs, and it turns out the Recon versions are pretty much game-breaking as well. Because as we've spoken about in previous videos, the fact SLRs are so accurate in general now, and the fact that most of the Recon versions have a 2-shot kill max, means they kind of make bolt-action rifles redundant. Not just that, but in BF5, there aren't any super long-range scope choices available like there was in Battlefield 4, which makes it a lot harder to leverage their one-hit kill ability. And so, in my opinion, just the way the game is now, anything you can do with a bolt action, you can probably just do better with a Recon SLR, which is good if you like SLRs, but kind of sucks if you're a fan of long-range sniping. So, to finish up, the question is, what can DICE do about the fact that it seems like no matter what, there's an SLR suited to dominate just about every situation? And, well, that's a tricky one, because personally, I'm not sure that I'd want the SLRs to be nerfed that much, because they kind of feel really good as they are currently. But in saying that, I think DICE have already started to figure out there's a problem, because in the last patch, we not only saw a nerf to the M1A1's recoil, but also a subtle nerf to the G43's max damage. And yet it seems like both of these guns still feel pretty amazing in-game, and so maybe I think they need to kind of apply these subtle nerfs across the board to all of these weapons. Most importantly though, I really think DICE have got to work on countering SLRs in the weapon meta by, for example, making sniping more attractive. Because, for example, often when you're using an SLR, you're going to stop moving or maybe even crouch to take your shot. And that's exactly the kind of perfect headshot moment that most snipers are looking for. But at this point, like I said, with the fact that bolt actions are dealing only 60 max damage, that means that often once a player has popped their medkit, they're sometimes getting a 3-shot kill, which is just ridiculous. And that, I'd imagine, is causing good players who are concerned about their stats to avoid using the Recon class, which in turn allows for more SLRs, which in turn farm all the medics. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this video. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think about the SLRs in the comment section down below. And if you guys have got any thoughts on how you think DICE could address the balance issues with these guns, then make sure you leave them down below, because believe me, they look for your feedback. As always though, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And also don't forget you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later and have a good one.